This episode is brought to you by Rick's Eyewear. Eyewear that inspires confidence. If you would like to buy some premium eyewear, blue light frames, prescription, head online now, rickseyewear.com.au and check it out. Caps has been Australia's home of headwear since 2012. From snapback to fitted, curve peak to flat peak, our hats will fit anyone and everyone. Since then, we've grown and evolved into the leaders of US sports apparel in Australia. Head online at caps.com.au and check it out. Righto, let's get into the show.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Aces in Business. It is back, baby. I tell you what, last week was a big episode with Justin Kenner. We're a bit disappointed because he did delete his Instagram a couple of weeks before, and he is just a huge man in America in the esports space. But Tommy, we loved having him on. And I tell you what, each week we're just progressing with guests here because we've got an absolute stalwart in the building here. And we asked Braden to get rid of any leather that was in the van because otherwise it might be attracted to Tommy's body here. But
it would be, mate.
The man himself, the ball magnet, Hawthorn Footy Club player, Tom Mitchell. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for the intro. Done well there. Well, I'll take that.
Very good, mate. Tommy Sheridan, how are you?
Good, mate. Good. Very good. Really glad Tommy's on and back in the Roland Media van. It doesn't get any better, Jakey.
I know, it is. You've given us some Google Maps that we don't have in our phone as well. So every time we try and find it.
I must say, while we're on the topic, the Android v. the iPhone, huge problem for me. When you drop a pin, I can't work out what he's doing. So...
Yeah. You almost need the old Melways. Remember that?
Oh, that's surprising he's not sent us that.
Mate, I don't know what's
That's up there with the Google Maps. But anyway, how you been, Tommy? How's the first few weeks of the season been?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, it's been great to be getting into in-season mode, just getting the flow of week after week footy. I suppose in terms of the Hawk season, we've, I guess from external opinions on how everyone thought we'd go, we've probably exceeded them initially, but we're pretty confident how we can go about things this year. And yeah, I think that's been a reflection in some of our performances, but having said that, we're a work in progress. Still a long way to go for us.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into the business chat, which we love, and we appreciate everyone getting behind it, so forth in the early episodes. Like for you now, you're an established footy player. I know Tommy Sheridan was once this, but is it AFL pre-seasons, do they get any easier? Are you over them by the time the season comes? Oh,
yeah, I think they're too long. I'm all about the games. I don't know what you thought, Tommy, but when you're starting in December, sometimes November, it's like a 6-month pre-season.
I reckon they're almost the hardest in any sport. I can't think of any that go for as long as AFL.
Well, what do they do in the NFL? Because they just do like a one training camp, don't they? And then it's just your responsibility to get yourself right. Is that how they do it?
So I watch like a lot of wide receivers and they have like wide receiver coaches and they all go to these like, specific gyms and do certain workouts. They're working pretty hard as well. Like they're almost sprinters and athletes, they're preparing for Olympics the way they train. So their off season's probably more serious and dynamic than I reckon an AFL off season is because they've got the program and you can, you do that at leisure. But AFL, now that they've cut it short, everyone's worked out that hang on, we've been wasting, we've been doing months and months and months of training out on the field with no competition. And if you speed it up and play a few more games earlier, you're actually all right.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to comment because I was injured my last couple of years and didn't get a preseason. And I had some really good, strong preseasons at Freo. So it's a hard one. But a lot of players don't like the extended preseason. They want the short one.
Yeah, it's a good segue. And we'll, as I said, we'll start talking business after this question. But one thing you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was interesting, which would be interesting to get Tommy's perspective on, was having like specific coaching for specific positions in the AFL system, which you took a bit out of in the NFL.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that would be something that would be beneficial? Is there enough of that in that space, like specific drills, specific pre-season training, stuff like that for the way you would play?
It's a good question. I think, when we do our, I guess, squad sessions, a lot of it is a one-size-fits-all because, it's a system-based sport. But we do spend time on our crafts in terms of like midfielders do midfield craft, whether that be stoppage work or running patterns specific to that position. But in terms of training to prepare for the season in the off season, I haven't heard of it. So the entrepreneurial brain, this guy, he's always thinking.
I know. Well, nonetheless, mate, he's crunching the footy numbers, but he's crunching numbers off the field as well. The excellence of Tommy Mitchell.
I just can't stop thinking, and that's why even ball magnets, when we get into it, it could be a nice one to, as a wingman, right? I mean, I had a ruck coach teaching me how to play wing because it was his job. He was the midfield coach and he was great, but he's a ruckman, and there's there's in NFL, you see specific running back coaches, wide receiver coaches, quarterback coaches, tight ends, and the rest of it, right? So very specific to the role. I don't think I see that in AFL just yet. Because if you get a mid coach, the best I've seen is an inside and outside, but very different. So maybe one you can crack on ball magnets.
I'll have to pitch the idea, I reckon.
Yeah, a wing specialist coaching videos.
Yeah, that could be you, mate. That's maybe give back. You're the one with the idea.
Defensive running was all right. Yeah.
Well, nonetheless, mate, I reckon it's time we get into it.
I think it's, shall we talk business?
Shall we talk business, Tommy Sheridan?
Let's talk business.
Let's do it. Now, mate, Tommy Mitchell, you're doing a bit off the field for as much as you do on it, but ball magnets is obviously one of the obvious things that goes with you, and we've all seen a lot of marketing around it and success through the application, which it is. But for some of the listeners that might not have come across it before, could you give us a bit of a summary of what it is?
Yeah, definitely. So basically what it is, it's a training app. So it's an AFL skills training app. We've sort of branched out a little bit. It's sort of a combination of training now, but also entertainment. We've figured out that, I guess, the TikTok space and this entertaining content that not everyone's going to use the app to train. They like to view content, and they just might use the app to learn about footy through the insights we provide as well. And probably half. So half use it to train. So it's just a all-round AFL app, I think. So I think as we build, it'll hopefully get towards something like an AFL app, but run by the players.
Right. So is the target market for like young kids, up and coming, like budding AFL players, or is it for even like the amateur footy player that's struggling to get a kick on the weekend as well?
Yeah, we think it's for everyone. So originally we thought it would be probably, and it still predominantly is, the probably 8 to 20 age bracket, both male and female. But what we've found is that we've had the analytics built into the app, which I think is good because you can see the demographics of people that are coming on. We've got sort of 30 to 40-year-old, which I assume is parents and coaches.
Right.
So there's all these different little buckets which we didn't know we were getting access to, but therefore we think the app's for everyone. And in terms of ability, I don't think that matters either, because a lot of the drills and things can be basic, and then there's advanced levels as well.
That's insane. So is it just you? I know that you've had photos and marketing sessions with a bunch of players, but is it, as you said, run by the players? Who else is actually involved?
Yeah, so myself, Paddy Cripps, Lockie Neal, Aaron Phillips, we're the 4 official partners, I guess. And then I think just through relationships, as Tommy would know, like you come through the ranks with, the likes of Toby Green, Jack Steele, Dylan Shield, these sorts of guys. We've had plenty of players on, and they're always just happy to help because, it's for a good cause, really. The app's free, and I guess its main purpose is to get people, to educate them how to play footy, we think, the right way, but also to get them active and, give back in that way. So, yeah, it's gone really well. We're over 15,000 subscribers on there now.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
so
massive, mate.
Yeah, it's getting big.
Well, if you're a kid out there and you need to learn how to find the footy, Lockie Neal, Patrick Cripps, Tommy Mitchell, just the names.
Aaron Phillips too.
And Aaron Phillips
God,
for the girls.
winner.
Yeah, won our 3rd flag.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, big shout out to the girls. Well done. Mate, just to go back a little bit though, ball magnets, where did it all start? There's always that one moment that, you go, hang on a second. Be like me every time I wake up in the morning.
You always got something, yeah.
But when was that day where you just said, I've got an idea here, and it's one thing to have the idea, the second thing to actually action it. When did that happen?
Yeah, so if I think back to 2020, so the first lockdown, it's pushed my memory back a little bit, but so I was helping out at some junior clubs, my junior club, Ashburton Junior Footy Club, which we actually had 6 players drafted from our under-15 team. It was crazy. So myself, Toby Green, Jack Viney, to name a couple, but that's another story.
Wow,
and I was helping out at
shout out Ashburton.
Shout out to Ashy. I was helping out at Ashy and Camberwell Sharks, just 2 teams in the area, going out to training, got a passion for coaching and things like that. And so I was doing that, and then COVID hit. And then I was getting messages from the parents and things like, how can you still help our kids? Like, they love what you do, they love what you're teaching them. And then we came up with the idea of, through some of the parents who pretty strong network in the business world. And originally it was going to be like a website where we could train online, because obviously we couldn't do face-to-face. And then we had the idea of building an app, and that wasn't really my skill set. So, Stuart Harker and Adam Hilton, so 2 guys who are involved in ball magnets. We explored building an app, and it was actually just around my lounge room table on Zoom that the idea came. And then I wanted to try and do something active, I guess, during lockdown and not just let the time pass. And I just put all my time and energy into it and sort of gone from there.
So you were the one with the light bulb moment, were you? I know you've got 4 partners, but
in terms of the players, yeah, probably I would say that. So it wasn't I wasn't going to take all the glory in terms of like how it snowballed from an online program to a website to an app. Like that was sort of a fair few people involved. But once the idea gained some traction and some legs, then I approached some good mates in Lockie and Paddy, and they loved the idea. And I guess we had to get a little bit of momentum and pitch the vision to them first to see like this is what we want to do and this is what it can be. And they both loved it. And they jumped on board, and then the rest is history.
Now, the app market it's pretty populated, or there's a lot of apps everywhere. But I think with that, everyone thinks it's quite easy to develop and build an app. And I'm not obviously none of us are the technical wizards here. But how long did it actually take from idea to going live for kids to be able to subscribe?
Yeah, good question. So I reckon it took, if lockdown was roughly March 2020, I think it took a year. So it took a year before the app was actually built. So it's not cheap. So it does cost a bit, and also it requires a lot of time and resources to. I guess if you haven't built one, it's hard to explain. But there's so many features and things you need to get built, and each feature has an additional cost, and then there's always bugs associated with each feature. So there's always little problems that pop up along the way. It's not just you have an app and it's done. Like it's always ongoing. And so it probably took a year. We did our launch at the MCG, I think in March 2021. We had a big PR launch. All the media was there. Paddy and I ran the night, and it was on the ground at the G, which was pretty awesome. Yeah, but that took a year.
I actually just wanted to ask on that because I saw this and I'm like, mate, they've hired out the MCG. Yeah, they've got ball magnets on the big screen. Who is the first person you make a call to get that event to get off the ground and actually just have the MCG to yourself?
Oh yeah, I guess we were pretty lucky with that, weren't we? It was a pretty cool marketing exercise. But as mentioned before, so obviously there's the 4 players involved, but we couldn't do any of this without the support and help we have so Stuart Harker, he was a global partner at PwC, so he sort of runs the financial side. Adam Hilton runs a marketing business in Richmond called Stratosphere, and Chris and Brett, who are within his staff, are on board with Ball Magnets as well. We've got a full-time marketing coordinator named Tash, and so I guess this whole team of people run a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. I'm very proactive and involved. We have weekly meetings, and every day off, I'm in a BMHQ trying to solve things. But without the team, you can't do everything ourselves. So it was through Adam that one.
That's insane.
Yeah,
and
great.
I've had a bit of experience in the app space. And Tommy, I don't know about you, but one thing from my experiences, and Tommy, you can probably attest to this and give some experience of it. But it's pretty technology is a pretty fast moving space. And obviously your consumers are expecting, a consumer experience, and you've got new features and new things you want to implement, which a lot of people, when you think you build an app, that's it. But it's constantly managing it, updating it. You've got bugs and you want to bring out new features. How do you go through that? Because obviously that's also, it does take time and money to do that as well, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I think you have to really prioritize and be certain on what buckets or features you want to have, because it has to be really efficient. The most important thing I think with apps is it has to be simple to use. Like the last thing you want is to go into an app, in my personal experience as well. And if it's too hard, you won't be interested. So you got to find ways to keep it really simple, but also have enough in there that they're like, oh, this is a point of difference, or this is something I haven't seen before. So you walk a fine line, but that's something we're actually going through at the moment. So we've been, our core has been footy skills, footy tips and insights, but I think branching into mental skills now, diet, that's a lot of the feedback we've had. So we're going through the process again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. So you're pretty much opening up everything that you've learned throughout your footy journey and giving it to the public for free.
Pretty much, yeah.
And having it all based on the app.
Yeah, well, we're using our, I guess, expertise in footy. I guess it's been our job. So we hope we can provide some insight in terms of the best way to prepare for footy, the best way to play your position, the best way to train, what drills to do. And yeah, it's run by the players. So all the content is done by myself, Paddy Cripps, Lockie Neal, Aaron Phillips. We actually come up with it. And so that's from all our years in experience from our club. So, Lockie's been at Freo in Brisbane, Paddy Carlton, Aaron Adelaide, myself, Hawthorn in Sydney. So it's bringing all the ideas together from all the clubs and putting that into, okay, what's the best thing for our users?
I've got a question here. So this is great. What are clubs like when you use essentially, it's not their IP because a new coach brings in new drills. I remember Matty Nix brought in new drills, and David Hale and Brent Guerrero come from Hawthorn to Freo, and we started. I think we were calling our game plan the similar things Hawthorn were doing. And then we played Hawks one day. They're going, "You're fucking using the same name."
Set up.
Yeah. I think it was the G6 or something.
Yeah, the G6. Yeah, still gets a run these
I was
days.
playing the G6. They're like, "Fucking bloke's got the same terminology."
We won 3 flags on this, mate.
Yeah. But what are they like when you put like a drill up online? Are they a little bit mad or they don't care?
As in the other teams? Or?
No, like say you got a drill from the footy club at Hawks and you put that on, they don't give a stuff.
I don't think so. Well, we've been doing it, so
it's good. They shouldn't. It's just some clubs
they can't own a drill. Can
yeah,
they?
well, I don't think anyone
no,
really.
that's
Yeah, like every team in the AFL, you'd notice it, but everyone copies everyone really.
Yeah,
Like I guess when Clarko brought in the cluster, as they call it, or the moving zone pressing, by the next year, Collingwood and Geelong were doing it, and like everyone just copies what's on trend, and then Richmond in recent years created this territory-based game, and then teams copy. So
yeah. On the drills, what is your favourite drill?
Well, I wouldn't say one specific, but probably my area, I guess, is probably ball handling. So it's something that in my footy career I've spent a lot of time on. Probably every day off in my whole career, I wouldn't have missed a day of trying to perfect my craft with ball handling. So anything to do with ball control, handballing, with multiple footies, there's so many things you can do. It's all on the app, but that's probably, Lockie and I, that's probably where we focus our attention on.
I've seen so many photos, I reckon, of just various people kicking at a local park and somehow they've just grabbed a flick with Tommy Mitchell and they've like had a kick with him or something. So it's like you kind of live and breathe the app a bit because that's essentially what it is. Like you've probably translated, like you're in with the people giving them your intelligence and your advice, which is pretty special.
Oh, that's awesome that you've recognised that because one thing we didn't want to be was, I guess, an app that, the players are over here and the community's over here. So I think getting into the community and showing that we're genuine about what we're doing is really important to us. So pretty much every week, sometimes it's hard with scheduling, but try and get to a new club. So we've done Campbell Sharks, McLeod. I went to the country and drove 2 hours to do a local club out there recently as well. So I think being engaged in the community and showing that we're legitimate in, trying to help and provide the best insights. Yeah, that's one of our core values.
Yeah, you mentioned the word insights because one of the things you have as your features is like unique playing and training insights that you give out to the kids. Can you explain what that is? Is that like you like watching a bit of play and giving advice or like how does that work?
Yeah, so that's something that we do want to get to is using game day footage, I guess, to explain things and how we're thinking on field in moment. Insights are more, so we've had Toby Green, for example, doing forward craft and sort of more him chatting to camera, using me as a dummy most of the time, which he probably does on field anyway, so it works out. But, walking through at a slower pace and giving an understanding around game awareness and things, because game awareness is so hard to teach. Like a lot of players have it instinctively, but it can be taught. And I think the players are the best people to explain it because they're the ones doing it each week. And been very fortunate. We've had some pretty quality players on there. Cripper focuses on marking a lot and body work at stoppage. So that's his thing. But each player, I guess, that comes on, we talk to them about their strength. So we're like, what's your weapon, we call it? What are you really good at? What's the best thing that you're at in the league or in your team? And let's talk about it and get into the detail. So
how would you have that communication? Is that like they fill out a form or like how do you, like if someone goes, mate, my right foot's good, my left foot's shit.
Yeah.
I'm good at marking. I'm not good with handballing. Like how do you communicate that?
Do you mean for like a subscriber?
Yeah, for a subscriber. Is that what you're referencing? That from who you're communicating with and what they're good at? Or are you talking about
I'm talking about the players that are teaching it. Yeah.
Right.
So
the player, yeah.
Okay,
so say Paddy, he specialises, I guess, in
Gotcha.
his power and the ball, his body work at stoppage, his marking. So he'll talk about that, what he's thinking about with his footwork. It's all on the app if you want to check it out. If you're interested in taking a few hangers, Jake, I'm sure you are.
Funny you say that, Tommy.
He had a comeback on the weekend in the Ammo's reserves. His preparation was ideal
Shout
as
out
well.
old Caulfield Grammarians. They called me up. A few people were out injured in COVID and I had a bit of leather poisoning. And the ideas in my head I thought were good. It was the execution, Tommy, that really let me down.
Well, we can talk about the preparation, can't we?
Yeah, that was a big night. Yeah,
I
Formula One.
Mate, you've been drinking Powerade and all the hydrolytes Friday night. He said electric till 3 a.m.
Look, it was questionable how I even got to the ground. But
That's great preparation.
It helped because it made me focus. I thought, I've got to be on here.
21 posies, you reckon? You went all right?
Well, I kicked one ball that went 15. It spun 15 different ways and hit the bloke in the chest, and he looked at me like I don't know where that was going.
Maybe we need to
So it was
create a
embarrassing.
Mad Monday segment on the app, and you can run that.
I reckon that's more my. Well, actually, funny you say this. Adelaide United, when I was playing the A-League, I was 19 years old, and they asked me to run the Mad Monday.
Yeah,
so that might have been why I was out by 21. But anyway,
that's another story.
We'll go back to this though, because I want to ask you, because it might be a bit tough for Tommy to answer this, because he's obviously plugged a gap in the market. But for you, do you think it would be good for AFL clubs to show a bit more insight on, like, essentially what ball magnets are doing? Like from diet to conversations, like that stuff is for the outside so entertaining.
Yeah,
like club IP, you know what I mean?
I love what Tommy's doing, and we've already spoken about it before. You've got this now that I'm out, I'm still quite young, but while you're in it and you live and breathe it, you do have a lot of time away from the club, but you aren't mentally completely switching off. You'll be thinking about your body, about improving your game, especially in season. There's all these things you're thinking about to be able to put, I guess, your job and your new business venture that kind of crosses over together, and to be able to engage with the community. I love that, because I love when blokes don't have egos and go down and engage with the community and give back. Because it's not that you don't want to do it. It's hard to do it. It's not like you can just roll down to a club. You got to time it. You got to make sure that the club hasn't scheduled a training day at the night time, or, you need to be pretty prepared and organised. And what Tommy's doing and the other boys, it's fantastic. And it's player driven. This is the main thing. When it's player driven, it's a player's idea, and it just comes to fruition straight away. And a lot of players do have ideas, but they get blocked with what they can and can't say. You go to press conferences, I've seen it. Like the media guy will say, you can't say this. We want to touch on this today. Just don't answer that question.
Yeah.
So you can't even say what you want to say. And when you're doing press conferences and all this media, I always compare, I talk about NBA to Tommy a bit and how they do it. The media, the reason they make more money and there's a big industry is because they let them in the change rooms and they interview every player and they get to free speech, and the clubs can't hold them accountable because it's their own opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. Yeah. So what the boys are doing for the greater good of the community and the AFL, the grassroots, it's fantastic. Yeah. And that's why we love getting Tommy on. But all the boys that are involved, I know them well as they're great people. I don't know Aaron, but I know the two lads and all the others that'll help out. And I'm excited to see where it'll go. It'll be good. It's only early days.
Yeah.
But I think the AFL would be a bit jealous of this, to be honest.
But I reckon they'd be happy too, though, because I think it's good empowering the players.
No, it's happy, but they would love something like this.
Yeah, they really should have done something like that, to be honest.
You never know. They might tip in, mate.
They're a bit late to the party, I reckon. Ball Magnus is up and running. But, Tommy, despite your experience and obviously craft on the field that you bring to the app, was there any, obvious challenges that you ran into, obviously from the business side, and there's so much more to just putting out the content of what you know to this app?
Yeah. I think like anything, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and I guess footy in itself is quite time demanding. It requires a lot of effort to be the best you can be. So I guess a challenge has been finding the time to put into ball magnets, which you always find a way if you're passionate about something. So pretty much every day off, the full day spent on ball magnets.
Really?
I probably don't get as involved with the technical side with the app and the technology and things like that. But I guess there's always, people that you want to meet with, and, how can you collaborate and how can you, I guess, use your network to meet and keep expanding and growing the business. So, and then, there's always, I'm finding there's always something to do. And I think in business, that there's never a full stop. There's just always something. So, and like anything, the more work you put in, the more, I guess, success you're going to have. So you just need to find the time to grind.
Spot on. Just on that, what has been the biggest challenge so far with ball magnets?
Biggest challenge? It's a good one. I think, I've learnt that I've had to delegate, which is I think really important in business, because finding the right people to fulfill certain roles. So I probably took on everything and be like, I'm very hands-on. I'm like, I'll just do it. I'll just get it done. Mm-hmm. Sort of, I've always had that approach with footy. I'll just put the work in and just get it done. And then you get to a point, there's, I guess, the financial side of things, the marketing, promotion, community things. And I think being able to delegate now and have people in those roles from a staff point of view has been really important, because a challenge earlier was I just had everything. And I think then that was taking away from my footy preparation, which ultimately is number one, because I think, if you're playing good footy and things like that, that's the most important thing. And Paddy and Lockie are obviously flying at the moment. So, but yeah, that's my main priority is Hawthorn, and then this is secondary. But it was just probably tipping over it earlier, late last year.
Do you find, obviously it's pretty unique, the setting you work in at Hawthorn, like highly passionate, the club kind of culture and feeling, it can be dependent on wins and losses at time, how it's feeling, like highly emotional environments.
Yeah.
Obviously you work with people in that environment. How do you find now working with people in business, and do you find a correlation there that's actually helped you from the footy scene to get work, in a bit more of the corporate space, you could say?
Yeah, it's a good one. Like, I think, I don't know what you thought, Tommy, coming out of footy, but it's such a high-paced, intense environment.
Mate, it's nuts.
And you go into the office and people are just walking around with coffees. Like,
Yeah,
this is awesome.
Mate, I can't compare anything else in the world. We speak about this a lot, though. Like how unique the AFL setting is.
I had this chat with someone. You can't give feedback like anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, that's
one of the biggest
what I'm
one is
referencing.
the way you
stop, keep sessions.
Yeah. Like even like just things that you'd say in the footy club. Even if like you come in today and your breath stunk, I'd be like, mate, your breath pongs.
Yeah.
All right.
HR would
If you go to the workplace and said that, you're done.
Yeah.
I think what I'm trying to say, I think there's a completely different style with feedback as one, and the way you communicate is another one I've already noticed. Now, I'm not even in the corporate world. I do little things in my co-working space, but I see it.
Yeah.
Your tone can get, your tone's really important on text as well, or email. It's not like footy where it's like, just start doing this. And like I said, stop doing this, keep doing this.
To whom it may concern.
That's it. Kind regards. You throw that in, you're practically halfway
As
there.
per my last email, that's a good one.
That's outstanding.
Yeah. So you got to be,
outstanding.
You can't be as direct,
That
I
could
think.
be on a t-shirt.
That's
fucking brilliant.
It could be. So, but there's obviously a direct correlation between footy and business, with the way you hustle, I reckon, and the way you go about it. The work ethic's a big one.
Have you found it's helped your AFL career either on or off the field, like your headspace having ball magnets?
Definitely.
Yeah, just
I was probably one of those people. I really struggle with balance. Like, balance gets preached all the time around, footy. Like, make sure you got something going on outside of footy and things like that. And I probably only really had to explore that when I broke my leg, and I was out ended up being about 18 months. Leg was done. I was like, this is gonna be tough to get back from. I'm like, if I'm gonna be thinking about footy this whole time, like, I'm in trouble from a mental space point of view. And so I guess this idea, while it didn't come to fruition until 2020 when I started back playing, but even before then, like, the wheels were in motion with, thinking about life after footy, thinking about, is it coaching? Is it, educating kids? And, I love being around kids and doing, going to clinics. And like sometimes when you go to clinics, this is pretty funny, but you do question time at the end. And a lot of them put their hands up and they'll just say statements. And I'm
that's the best part.
My dad played footy for this club, and you don't know where they're going, but it's just like, they're just good to be around, and it takes you back to your childhood, which my favourite childhood memories are with, Tobes at Ashburton Footy Oval, just kicking around. Like, that's the most fun you have, I think, in your footy career. And so I just trying to get as close back to that as possible, and realise that what we're doing is playing footy. It's pretty awesome, and take you back to your roots. And then, but yeah, it's helped me with balance, because now I've got, I guess, the business side of things, which is around helping kids and my passion and things, but it's also in footy, in my job.
Yeah, I can imagine. Do you have any like mentors in this space, or mentorship across business for you? Because they don't really teach you financial training or business training when you step into the AFL, I imagine. So it's probably all self-taught.
No, I do. So Sam Wood.
Oh, wow, big name.
He's a Hawks man, but I actually reached out to Sam via LinkedIn. I had never met him before, and he just said, "Yeah, mate, come into my office. Let's chat." And his business is booming. It's one of the
what's
biggest
his
in
app?
that space. He's got 28 by Sam Wood.
That's right. Yeah.
So he's mostly targeted at families, and but in a similar category, like in the health and wellbeing space. And he's had ongoing meetings with us. He's a good friend of mine now, and he's just guided me throughout the journey. And he's done it. He's lived it and breathed it. And yeah, his guidance and advice has been so important. And he's just gone above and beyond for me. So I really appreciate it.
What's some of his best advice that you could maybe share with the listeners and viewers?
Yeah, I think, well, there's two sides of it. So there's the stuff that is app specific, and then there's just from running a business, from that side of things. put me on the spot a little bit.
Yeah,
here, Tommy,
yeah,
let
we
me
can come
think.
back.
But yeah, we might come back to
I've,
that.
I've actually got a good one, I think. I think we might have asked Dom Tyson this, but when was there a moment when you, from Ball Magnets going live, to where you had a really big win? Like it was like, a goal you needed in a game that was really important for the business.
A really rewarding moment.
Yeah, rewarding moment, yeah.
Well, I think, so one thing that changed for us was initially when we started the company, there was a subscription fee. So it was like $13 a month because we thought, the value of things, of what we're giving is pretty unique coming from the players and the insights. And then we sort of changed our approach a little bit and we thought, let's just make it free. Let's just open it up and at least get some awareness for the brand. And we went from, I think we had like 4,000 and then we just said, we took all the payment details off and said, let's not do that anymore. Let's open it up to everyone for free. And since then, in the space of, I would say 6 months, we've gained about 12,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So I'm not sure exactly what that is in mathematical terms, but weekly there's another few hundred. Like this last week, we probably had 500 jump on board. So
Awesome.
it's just growing and growing. And
That's massive.
yeah, it's cool. I think just having, like, one thing I'm most proud of is just having, like, when a kid comes up to you on the street, like on Glenferrie Road, there's a lot of kids around here and they come up and they say, oh, Ball Magnets, I love the outlet. You get a real kick out of that. I'm like, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I know everyone wants to really do well financially in business and things, but creating something that has a purpose and helps, like, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know how good would that have been, like, if you were up and coming footy player before you got drafted, just to tune into something
Yeah, it's
like
good.
that? I would have absolutely loved that.
It's like when we started Rick's, I'd see people wear them on the street, and it was. And I used to go, do I annoy them and say thank you, or because that's sometimes a bit weird, but it's not. I really want to say thank you, but when I didn't know them, it was so rewarding, and it's it's quite. And when you see it interstate as well, so if you go to another state, you're like, wow, that's kind of a bit of a cool moment.
Did you ever have, like, when you were growing up? I know I have memories of, like, going to footy clinics and things and, like, still, like, meeting with players and like, you think it's like the best thing ever, but, like, now as a player, you're like, oh, it's not a big deal. But I remember when I was like 12 and, like, I still remember clinics with, like, Anthony Koutafidis and these guys. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Yeah. But you forget that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that's the thing. Some people do, some people don't. I was a big believer of that. I still remember a few Essendon boys come down to Riddles Creek and it was the best thing ever. I remember going to Essendon footy training once and me and my old man were having shots after the training session and I was literally out there for like 45 minutes and I was slotting everything. And this guy was kicking him with me and he's like, mate, do you want to come inside? This is at Windy Hill. He goes, do you want to come inside and meet the players? My grandpa's the boxing coach. And I went, oh, you're kidding. And, like, James Hurd was one of my favourites of all time. And Hurdy was in there. The whole team was in there. And I go, oh, yeah. And then I had the, you remember Essendon had the 3, like they sponsored by a 3 mobile. And I'm like, oh, Dad, I'm going to go inside. He's go, mate, go. Anyway, so I went inside and, mate, it was literally, like, now that I've been in the change rooms, I'm literally walking around like blokes that are just on the massage table, like blokes are doing boxing, gym, in the change rooms. Got literally every signature. I got Kevin Sheedy. He's like, I had a Billabong jumper. He's like, oh, Mr. Billabong, how are you, mate? Like, I still remember that. I'm going, it was one of the best days of my life. The only thing was, I didn't get Hurdy's signature because the guy, so what happened at the start, the guy actually ran my jumper in and got like 8 signatures. Then he come back out and he goes, actually, you want to come in? And I come in and did what it said. And I come out and I just remember going to this pizza place afterwards and it was like the best day of my life.
Yeah. Do you like you mentioned there, but like, do you have to come back to that? Because that's what kids would be saying to their mates about you now. Like, do you know what I mean?
I sometimes forget it, but you realise that you can have an impact, which it feels funny because you don't, there's definitely not any hierarchy in terms of athletes and I guess non-athletes. It just, kids aspire to be like that and love their footy. So I think in any small way, if you can make, that day for them, like, what happened back with Tommy, the Billabong kid back in the day, then I think why not? Like, why not do that? Like, it's only good things can come from it. And, Paddy especially, like Cripper, when he comes to the clinics and things, like, he gets swarmed, but the way he handles it and, like, even at the Stratosphere office when we have our Ball Magnets meetings regularly, like, even the staff, like, 30-year-old males are lining up. There's a big queue to get their photo with Cripper, and I think just always giving back is really important.
Yeah,
it's great.
Now, without going into any of the details or the numbers, because you mentioned the application's now free, we are the business platform, so we do have to ask. But how do you monetize the app as such now?
Yeah, so we're very thankful that we've got 2 amazing sponsors. So Iron Edge, who are obviously in the weights and weightlifting and training preparation, which aligns with us perfectly, and also AIA Vitality. So obviously, all around living healthier and better lives. So they're very supportive, in growing ball magnets and coming on the journey with us. And I think what's appealing for them is, I guess, having the access to the players, and we can help them with their projects. And then also we're very thankful that they give us resources to enable to grow ball magnets. So I guess it's a hand-in-hand partnership on both. And, there's a few more things happening in the background in terms of from a sponsorship point of view. And we're pretty excited with what's to come in the next year or two.
It's great. What is your targets, if you don't mind sharing? If you don't want to, that's fine. But what is your targets or your goals for how many downloads, users, or do you want on this app?
Yeah, I think, it's hard to put a target on it, but at the rate it's going at, the predictions are that closer towards the end of the year, it'll probably be around 30,000.
That's awesome.
We haven't really set a target because I guess we're just going to go with the flow organically. There's a lot of brand awareness now. I feel like everyone, I guess, knows ball magnets, and the boys, Paddy and Lockie, have really recognised that as well, that people know that we're serious about what we're doing at the moment. And I think just every bit of growth at the moment is crucial for us. And it's just heading in that direction. So we don't really have a timeline on we want to be here by this point. We sort of have to manage what we can do with our time because footy's priority for all of us. And at whatever rate that is, we'll just take it. But, we're going to put as much work as we can in our spare time into ball magnets.
It's not unrealistic to think like every young kid playing footy, junior footy, could be on the app.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
You've done a great job with your brand awareness and establishing yourself in the market. And that's right. I think people now go, hang on, these boys are serious. They're not mucking around. Just it's some cool stuff happening continually. It's awesome. Just to go back a little bit, ball magnets is a name. We always talk about how'd you get the name. It's always a great topic.
It's his middle name.
It's a pretty easy comparison because it's all these folks get called on the weekend. But was there any other names that were floated up, and did you, or was it just ball magnets straight away?
Well, you'll like this from a business point of view, I guess. So we threw around some names, and I can't remember. Some of them were pretty horrific.
Yeah, they always are, man.
You look back. I'll even look back at our first logo. I'm like, wow, what were we thinking? So ball magnets, we thought that applied to, like, if we said footy freaks, I don't know. That's just an example. If we said footy freaks, that sort of isolates us to, okay, we're just a footy app. In terms of the big picture, ball magnets, like the word ball can apply to basketball, to cricket, to soccer. So there's possibilities that this could become an app that branches into other sports. And then I guess we take care of our footy bucket.
Domain.
And then, let's just say that there are some other athletes in other sports we've already started talking to who would love to, I can't name them, but some pretty big names in cricket in the Australian team and basketball as well. Obviously, we've got some links with some of the American players, some of the big players over there, and giving them, the technology's built and the platform's built, so it's pretty easy for them just to shoot content and own their own sport. So big picture, that's where it could go.
Jeez, that's a light bulb moment right
there.
That is. Because I'm thinking, because I've come from a soccer background, I'm thinking, how good would this be if like Ronaldo or Messi was just showing techniques and things like that? There's nothing like it in any other sport, I don't think. So to open it up to other sports is really smart.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, what we're thinking. And the most important thing, like you mentioned with this, the player-driven component is so important, because if this was an opportunity that was given us to, say, through a sponsor or the AFL and said, can you do this for us? And it's like, tick the box and, sort of like, cashies, like to support it something. But because I guess we own it and we're passionate about it, like we want to do a good job, and the player drive is what makes these things, because if we're pushing it both externally but internally, then that's where the real growth and success will come from.
That'd be the huge competitive advantage, isn't it? It's player driven, and there wouldn't be many others in this space, would there?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not exactly sure. I think definitely in the AFL space, and I think the player driven part is unique in the fact that we've sort of come up with it ourselves and are pushing it as our business and what we want to do post footy. So yeah, it is unique because most of the time it is, as you would have experienced, people coming to you with opportunities, but it is whoever's coming to you, they own it. But we own this, so it's like, okay, we'll push it ourselves.
It's great. Let's go to the players. Let's have a laugh. So I know these boys pretty well. All right.
This is your role. This is what we're really on. The curly question.
So we've had some guys that we know quite well. Let's start with Lockie Neal. What's he like razzle dazzle? We're very good mates, and obviously being in Brisbane, how's he go? What's his communication like?
Yeah.
Give me some funny stories of his journey so far with ball magnets.
Well, I reckon the first time we met, we were in LA together.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Well,
not really.
We crossed paths. Might have been Bootsy Bellows or one of those joints.
It was a booth
We had a good
job.
night. We had a good night. Lockie, well, he's had the little baby now.
Yep,
And
Dad.
he's in Brisbane, so he can hide away from the footy world up there. I reckon if he was at a Melbourne club, his name would be
Yeah.
he'd be
He'd be like
top
Paddy
few players
Cripps,
in the
mate.
comp,
wouldn't
yeah,
he?
pretty much. In terms of his communication, he's on the more passive side, I would say. Lock.
Okay, passive.
But he's very good. He's very he's good with ideas and things like that. And his expertise is around craft and things, and like he's even taught me stuff. I'm like, I'm going to steal that. Thanks,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah.
Very smart. Like the way he plays, so smart. So
Such a smart footballer.
Yeah.
Just accumulate as you both do. This bloke is so competitive, Lockie. Like we'd do handball games, and mate, you just almost you can't win, or he's just going to belt you.
Yeah, call me dumb here, but elementary question: how do you get so many touches? Like, what is it that you're doing different to everyone else?
well, I probably haven't been as good as the other two boys this year, but so far. But
You're still getting 30 plus pretty much.
Yeah, he had
every week,
30 on the
which is
weekend
a
against our
bad
building.
day.
well,
for,
Cripper
bad
and
day
Lockie
for,
and career best. I reckon,
yeah, that's fair.
But
one of
you're-
them could win the
but-
Brownlow this
But
year.
your career. Let's not go about the last few weeks. You're only building. You're getting 40s, and you've had 50s, haven't you?
Yeah,
A couple of 50.
Like, how does one?
50 something.
I played footy a long time. I've never got near 30, I don't reckon. How do you get 50 disposals? Like, if there was just one tip, is it just
Yeah.
stay in the corridor, or what is it?
Okay, so yeah, I get asked this a little bit during like question time, I guess, at the kids'
I've been
clinics.
wanting to
Yeah,
ask
like the
this
little
all
kids
week,
here,
mate.
the-
All
So
week
I
I've been
think
wanting-
there's a number of things. So I think work rate has to be up there. Like that's just an obvious one. I think being well prepared. So my whole game is built on reaction times. And so I'll always, in the way I review a game, I'll watch it from behind the goals, and it's pretty much just watching, am I moving before everyone else on the field? And so that half a second, like I'm not fast, and Lockie's similar the way he plays, but I guess the reaction time to move first, that gives you 5 meters. So it's probably reaction times and work rate are the two main things. And then I guess footy smarts, however you like knowing where to go, which I guess some of that is intuitive, but some of it is just through learning. And that's what we're trying to, I guess, teach on the app. It's that game awareness component that I spoke about. It is teachable. So that's what we're trying to do, because the game awareness, like there's the obvious skills, kick, mark, handball, like everyone, can learn about that. But the deep diving into game awareness, decision making, like that's an area that hasn't been tapped, and it is teachable.
Wow, such like subtle things that make big differences. Hey?
It's actually when you don't have the ball.
Yeah,
And when the ball's in dispute and we're going to win it, because I can see the guy and Tommy's already 10 meters in front of you.
And it's like, when the ball's dead sometimes, that's when,
Yeah.
as players, you kind of think, I can catch my breath here.
And these
Whereas
are
you're
great.
thinking straight away.
This is great insight. And this is all on the app at Ball Magnets, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
It's awesome.
So, yeah, there's some more stuff coming, but yeah, we want to separate ourselves from the traditional way things have been taught, and go about it in the modern way.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to ask, when you become...
Sorry to cut you off. I just
go.
need to ask about Paddy.
We haven't gone through the big
Lockie's
man.
passive.
I actually want to
very
ask about
smart.
Aaron Phillips after that.
Yes.
So you go with
Yeah.
Paddy. Go on.
Big shout out to Razzle. So now we go to Paddy. What's he like to work with? And he's obviously in Melbourne, so it'd be much easier for you guys to create content. So I'd assume that you're hanging out much more just due to Lockie being in Brisbane.
Yeah, so Paddy, he's also an ideas man, but very passionate. So his passion is around, I guess, psychology, mental skills. He's obviously got the footy expertise, and that's what's helped him in his career, but he really wants to explore this pathway, and especially with mental health in young adolescents and people in general, like he feels like he's got a lot of things he can implement, and obviously being captain of a club around leadership, and that's something he wants to really explore. So having a more life-based approach to footy, like his approach is, if you're feeling good in your life, then you're going to play better footy. So implementing that into the app is big, and that's something that's coming soon. Paddy comes into a monthly meeting we have with a board meeting at the Ball Magnets offices, and he's always asking the right question, very business savvy, and so he does a really good job, and he's very particular about what he gets involved in. So obviously he's got Nike and his core brands that he works with, and he's very particular and does a really quality job with the things he's involved in, rather than scattering across a number of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, just to go to the last person, Aaron Phillips, Like I don't know if she gets enough credit for how good she is across what she does because maybe she's in Adelaide. But even prior to the footy world, she obviously basketball, like a dual Australian across different sports
She's
in
a
regards to what she
athlete.
does. But how did you come across Erin Phillips and getting her on board and what's your view of her involved in the app?
Well, she's probably the most successful out of everyone. She's won 2 WNBA titles.
She's insane.
3 AFLW premierships, 2 Brownlows equivalent.
Yeah.
Few Norm Smiths. Like, she's done everything. Like,
I know.
Like, I honestly, the first time I met Erin and we trained together to do some ball magnets content, I was like, she's a freak. Like, I was like, she could play with the men. Like, she was that skilled and just understood the game so well and strength and fast. I'm like, she's a special athlete. I was through Sean Burgoyne. So Sean Burgoyne's wife, Amy, is the sister of Erin. So got onto Erin because the AFLW and women's football in general is growing exponentially. It's like the girls' passion is, I would say it's bigger than the boys. Like, they're so eager to be better. And this app it's not just for males, and it's for both males and females. And I guess having Erin as the face of the female category is so important because she's, I guess, living evidence of the level that girls can get to, and a lot of them are aspiring to get to that level.
Mate, just a massive get. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
She's a superstar. That was well put, really well put.
Yeah.
One of my sort of final questions was just around when you get to this point in your career, you become obviously a bit of a treasure chest for a lot of businesses that want to work with you and partner with you, and you become a bit of a business yourself or a brand. How do you as Tom Mitchell kind of navigate through that to kind of connect the right dots for you as a brand and also grow your brand as well? Because you're, as I said, you've ambassador to about every bloody business in the country.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that approach of something that aligns with your brand. So I guess my brand is around, health, well-being, self-improvement, kids and community, footy. So anything that sort of falls into that bucket, I try and get involved in. And, sometimes there's some great opportunities that come along. For example, like, let's just say a fast food outlet, and, they throw a big dollar fee at you. But big picture, if it goes against what your values are and the big picture of what you're trying to push and present, then it's probably not the right thing, which sounds funny, but you probably get more. That probably comes back to you later on somewhere, somehow. I'm not sure exactly how, if you stick to your core and really build that brand out properly.
Right. Well said. Now, I think this is a question that we want to have running more frequently, and it might stump you. We probably should have prepped you on this one, but is there a best business book that you might have read and why? Maybe for some of the listeners out
podcast,
there.
Yes.
Podcast. Yeah, we're trying to.
Oh, there's a book. It's at home and it's just around the corner. It is. I'm going to have to text it through.
That's all right.
It's around thinking big, so it's.
I like that.
It's. I'll have to text the exact name to you, but
we'll throw it in the description.
Yeah.
Tommy Mitchell's book.
Yeah, it's thinking big. So I've had a few other mentors in business. One of our investors at Ball Magnet, so we have an investor who puts in quite a bit, and I was so insular about like this footy thing and skills, and then that's how the whole thing around other sports and potentially getting it overseas. Like, he's got some big ideas, but I wouldn't have thought about that without him.
Yeah, I met one guy once, and his whole thing was think big.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and it was funny. He goes, and then think big, and then double that. And I'm looking at him trying not to laugh, right? Because this is how you do think at the start. And then he's like, no, and then double that. And then you're thinking big now, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, I have to be. Like, I've times it 5 times. And he's like, well, then times it again. And he's like, that's your answer.
Who is this guy?
Oh, there's a guy that got recommended from Mum's work. He's a really successful guy.
Yeah.
Better keep his name off the potty because I'm not sure if I should share. But but it was really good. Had a full day with him, taught me about the walk of life and all these things, and incredibly successful man. And the think big, it's so true. Like, you were probably, as you said, thinking footy, now you're thinking all sports.
Well, exactly. And if you reach for the stars, even if you fall short,
yeah,
like, we're so far, it's not funny, but the higher you reach, the higher you drag yourself up. So can only help.
That's another one to young people out there, to really dream big. And it's always thrown, the words are thrown around there, but don't be mediocre. Don't just think you're going all right. Aim for the stars, like you said, because if you can land anywhere below them, it's probably higher than anywhere else you've aimed for. So it's a big one.
One of the quotes of the show thus far was last week with Justin Kenner: "Ruthless pursuit of short-term goals."
That's it.
That one stuck to me. I thought that was brilliant.
That's it. It's
And you
big.
narrowed that down well. But tell you what, I don't know if is that a wrap, Tommy? You got any more you want to get through with the great man?
I was just going to say it's been a pleasure, and for everyone out there, for our guests watching, listening, clearly it's a very easy, it's a very easy call to action. It's get your phone out, head to the App Store, download Ball Magnets.
It's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
Check
the
it
sign
out.
up process is very simple now. So it's basically download the app and you're in. And yeah, we'll drop new weekly content. There's gonna be a lot more behind the scenes this year. So within the four walls of the footy club, we're trying to create things and ideas where you can't get anywhere else. So that's what we're going to try and do this year.
Love that. And then I guess what is next for Ball Magnets, if you can share exclusively here on American Aces channel, Aces in Business.
Of course.
What's next? What's coming up in the very near future that you might want to just give us a heads up on?
Yep. So the two main features that we'll be adding are around mental skills and diet. So Paddy Cripps, obviously his passion is in this mental space and getting the edge mentally. He'll be driving that. And then Lockie eats carbonara before every game, so we might not use him for diet. But
Gee, some people might start doing that now
Hey,
after the way he's playing.
Yeah, carbonara.
yeah, but we'll be exploring those two things.
And you guys will have your diets on there and what you eat.
we'll be talking about it. Yeah, I feel like everyone is interested these days
Yeah,
in
they
diet
are.
and knowing what to eat and when to eat, and also around the mental side of things, when to sleep, how much to sleep, ways to improve your mental health and things like that from an athlete's point of view, and sharing that information. I think people will love it.
That's awesome.
One
Well,
thing
that's
just
exciting.
on that, the Ball Magnets are doing really well, which we love, is the use of social media. I mean, TikTok. That's their name.
We're all over TikTok.
We're TikTok guys.
We'll clip
now.
this right now. We're going to throw it on TikTok.
We're TikTok guys.
We love TikTok.
You can get stuck
TikTok
in
is
TikTok holes,
us.
can't you?
Oh,
Yeah.
TikTok. I was watching a monkey.
It sucks you in.
I was watching a monkey roll around just stealing the cream out of the fruit. She like for 30 minutes. I'm
I
like, what
made
am I
the best
doing?
steak in my life last week because of an algorithm of a video of a bloke making a steak, and I just copied it. Now, mate, it's just random stuff is just changing my life.
There's a
I'm
chef that can make a meal in 30
But
seconds.
get on
there.
get on the social channels, guys. Follow Ball Magnets because they are so entertaining along with the great art.
It is good. Now, this is the one that we didn't ask last week, and it's because we've got like-minded people in the room here, and a few people out there that might want to come on and share their business and their advice. Would there be any guests, before I actually ask the question, Aces in Business is, Aces means to be good at sport or to be good at something. So it doesn't mean you have to be a sportsman or sportswoman. It can be anyone that is just a weapon, a freak, as you like to say before. So who would be a great guest that can deliver heaps of value to all our listeners in your minds that we could potentially hit
The
up?
listeners can put a bit of pressure on.
Yeah,
Get on Aces
Well,
in
I'm going to
Business.
throw one at you, which I think is very accessible. Good friend of yours and mine. And so what you see on the footy field, I think he's so different off field and very smart with his investing, and that's Toby Green.
Yes.
He's got his finger in a number of pies, and he's very smart. Like, he doesn't look smart on the field when he's belting people and getting weeks, but very smart and does a lot of research and things like that. So I think with his off-field pursuits, he's going to do very well because he takes the time to really look into things as well, and very smart.
There you go, Toby Green, my old
Toby Green.
housemate. So we're getting him on with it while I'm wearing a suit for Aces in Business, Jakey, not the Tommy Talks.
Yeah, mate. Well, if you can't get Toby Green on, mate, who can?
Nah,
Let's
he'll
be
get on.
honest.
I don't think he's doing much the next couple of weeks anyway. He's still got
He'll
a
be
couple
around.
more weeks off. So that's great. Well, mate, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone out there, get on Ball Magnets. Let's get this to 30,000 tomorrow. We're really excited about what you're doing. We'll check in throughout the year for another show and drop some new features. But yeah, there it is, Jake.
Mate, pleasure doing business with you, Tommy.
Love it, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, hang on. Before we leave here, the great man Tommy Mitchell's not leaving empty-handed.
Oh, you just reminded me, Jakey.
He can't leave here empty-handed.
We have some great sponsors on the show. Like you've got a couple, mate. We'll start with Caps,
Jeez, how lucky am I?
the best in the business.
How good.
Jeez, the
So I thought
Caramel
I'd get you there.
Brown as well.
Caramel
A bit
Brown.
of Hawthorn about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
just-
is. This will get a good run. This will
Just
get a very good
very
run.
versatile. For anyone out there, Caps, unbelievable stuff. Fully
Legends
licensed
behind the brand.
AFL. And you got everything, NBA,
try it on?
NFL. Yeah, try it on. Chuck it
I've got a
on.
pretty big head.
Oh, look at
Oh,
that.
look at that. There he is.
That is nice.
That
mate.
does suit him. No
good.
joke. That actually suits you. Well
So
done.
there you go. Anyone out there who wants a hat, use Aces at discount, at checkout, sorry. And then, of course, we got the Rixies, mate. I know you love the Orbits. I got you the new bronze.
Oh, how good, mate.
With the green lens polarized. So
This is pair number 6, I reckon, for me.
yeah,
There we
he's a
go.
very
Just
loyal Rick's
accumulating.
man. Accumulating like he does on the weekends. So, the accumulator.
Yeah.
So big shout out to Rick's and
thanks, mate.
Caps.
That's awesome.
No, pleasure. Thanks for coming on once again. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing the future of ball magnets, and you go collect 30 plus on a weekend.
Oh, 40 plus, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
Mate, that could be you if you pull your head in.
I know, mate. I'll get on ball magnets tonight, boys. Don't worry.
Mate, reaction time. And
Don't go to clubs the night before a
Yeah,
game.
smart.
Rule number 1.
Thanks for listening to another episode. If you enjoy listening to our podcast, please feel free to hit us up on our social channels at Ausmerican Aces. If you're entertained, inspired, or feel more educated, please share it with your friends and family because we appreciate the support. Righto, catch you on the next one.